Do you think if someone is looking to get into the dairy thing on their homestead, do you think they should look at goats or cows?
Goats.
Really? You think goats?
Yeah, I think so. See what he says.
In this video, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of goats for dairy. Do you want to be in this video?
Oh. Well, yeah, you're really bad giving the goats.
All right, I guess you better be in this video. Pros and cons. Just give me some ideas. Size. Cons. You own goats. Goats are jerks.
Oh. I think you took goats very personally.
Over the years, we've owned over 10 goats. There was Hops, the two babies, Malt and Barley, Yo-Yo. I liked Yo-Yo.
Trigger.
Trigger.
Nene.
Loud Goat. Nene and Bled. The Sonnet. Bucky. Oh man.
And the babies.
Daisy.
And the little Buck.
Shoot. 14 goats. We have owned 14 goats.
For somebody who says he doesn't like goats,
because I owned
a lot of
all
them.
the goats. I had all the goats. La Manchas, Nigerian dwarfs,
Alpines,
Nubians,
Sonnets.
So 5 different breeds, 14 goats. I can't believe I own 14 goats.
Hold on, I just thought of another con.
So let's start off with the pros. Why would you ever want to own a goat for dairy? Goats have a lot of personality.
and most of the time it's good.
And sometimes they're just, can I say? No, okay.
Jerks.
Jerks. So goats can be jerks. Friendly.
We're doing pros right now.
Okay, the pros. Right, we're supposed to do pros.
A few years we weren't breeding our goats at all. And we were just keeping them on the farm because so many people who visited knew the goats, they knew their names, and they loved to come here to see them. So it was a good way to get people visiting and purchasing.
If you're considering goats for dairy, one of the positive sides as a goat versus a cow is the handleability and the size of the goats. So you can have a goat that's, you know, like moving around a dog, and it's not like having a cow where you need a big trailer and lots of fancy equipment and a big giant cow stable.
We moved many full-size goats in the back of our minivan.
We've had, yes, more than one goat in the back of our minivan. And it worked fine, it worked great. So if you're just getting into the dairy thing, you're not sure you're gonna stick with it, or maybe you just wanna have like a kind of pet that you get, a pet with benefits. That's one of the pros. Goats are an easy way to get into the dairy. It's also easy on the wallet.
Right, as far as an investment, in Craigslist in the springtime, you find all those goat dairy farmers who are selling off kid goats, does for 75 bucks.
And if you wait till fall and winter, you'll find lots of free goats on Craigslist.
They also cost less to feed. Could cost less to house. You need a smaller shelter. If you need to build something, you could build a smaller shelter for goats than you would for a cow.
And generally speaking, they're just a cheaper animal to buy than for, say, if you're looking to start a dairy, than a cow. A cow's going to be a lot more expensive. You'll find less free cows on Craigslist. We did manage to find one though. If you're looking to start a homestead business from your dairy operation, first make sure that's even legal in your state, that you could even legally sell milk products. And if not, maybe you're selling soaps, maybe you're selling, you know, dog food. But goat's milk can be a niche market, so that's another pro. There are people out there who can't drink cow's milk and they're looking for goat's milk, and you can charge a little bit more money for it. Speaking of those people who can't drink milk, cow's milk.
Another pro of the goat's milk is that more easily digested by some people because it's naturally homogenized.
So if you have issues with cow milk, maybe goat milk will be better for you, and maybe then having a goat will be worth it.
As far as feeding the goats, if you don't have beautiful acres and acres of pasture, maybe a goat is better for you because they like to eat more weeds and brushy stuff more than a cow does.
Here on our property, we had no real cow pasture, but the goats, there was plenty of pasture for goats. They could walk all around and eat the bushes and eat from the lawn and eat the thorn bushes. So that was a plus. To have goat milk, you need to have a goat bred. And we have a hilarious video of us attempting to have one of our goats bred.
It might be a cold week in January, But here on the Homesteady farm, we're cranking up the heat because this week it's goat breeding.
Goat breeding time!
We tried a lot of things, some of which we're not even going to show you. But no matter what we tried, it didn't work.
Our attempt at matchmaking some goats. That didn't work out so well.
No. If you watch our video, you won't believe it, but they are an easier animal to have bred. Ours didn't, it failed, but at least if you want to have your goat bred, you can throw it in the back of your minivan, head to another local farm that's got a buck. We threw them in a trailer for 10 minutes and watched them attempt breeding. In theory, it's easier for goats to breed. The best pro to goats is that when you realize that buying goats was a big mistake and you shouldn't have them on your homestead because they're jerks, they're really easy to get rid of. Put an ad on Craigslist and you'll have some crazy goat person showing, oh, hey babe.
What are you talking about?
Nothing.
I like goats.
I liked some of our goats too. Lido and Yo-Yo, they were.
But your heart goats.
Yeah. So there is that. They do make nice pets. And if you're not sure that you really are up for doing the dairy thing, milking every day, cleaning all the stuff, all that goes with running a dairy, but you want to try, goats are great. Because in the end, if it doesn't work out and you realize dairy's not for me, well, you can keep them as nice little pets. Or you can easily find someone on Craigslist who will take your goats.
We got dairy goats specifically because we wanted to try out if we like doing our own dairy or not. And we did. And a bonus pro is the goat meat that you get from your goats.
We really like goat meat. Goat meat is delicious. So that was a plus.
Yeah.
That can kind of go right there with exit strategy. If you don't like your goats, there's goat meat. People are gonna hate that comment.
But it's true.
Now let's talk about the cons, because there are a lot of cons to owning goats. The first being that you own goats.
They are hard to contain. So if you're getting goats, you are going to need some good fencing.
We've shared stories in a recent podcast episode of our escape goat who got out and wound up 4 miles away on another farm. But she wasn't the only goat to escape. We've had all our goats at times find ways out of the hard fences, jumping over the electric fences, pushing themselves under fences. Goats like to escape and do what they want. And so if you have goats, you're gonna be dealing with escapes.
The milk quantity and quality is going to vary from goat to goat. We had a Saanen, which is supposed to be a high producing milk goat. We got less from her than we did our Nigerian dwarf mix.
If you looked in a book, it would tell you Saanens can yield up to 1 gallon of milk a day. But this one was a dud. She just didn't give us that much milk, and the milk she gave us tasted gross. Meanwhile, our Nigerian dwarf was giving us amazing quality, delicious milk, but just little bit, which was to be expected. She's a small goat.
And milking that.
Oh man.
It didn't feel like it was worth the effort of sanitizing, going out there, milking, coming back in, cleaning everything up for this much milk.
Even good tasting goat milk eventually will get a goaty flavor. If you think that goat milk tastes gamey or goaty, generally you're tasting goat milk that's a few days old. We had great quality milk. In a blind taste test, we were able to fool our friends into thinking they were drinking cow's milk. But a day or two later, it would start to taste like goaty. So you're gonna have to move through that milk quickly.
One of the cons for us personally was that the milk is naturally homogenized. And we don't have, you can buy a cream separator to use with your goat's milk to get you the cream that you want, but it doesn't do it naturally. So you didn't get that cream line that you could skim off the top to make butter out of or use as heavy cream.
Another serious con of having goats is having to deal with the worming issue. When we had just 2 goats, we generally didn't have a problem. But as our herd grew, we wound up dealing with a heavy worm load on the land, and unfortunately, beginner's mistakes, we lost a goat to worms. you're gonna have to deal with worms. You can go the naturopath way, you can go the chemical way. We experimented with both, but it's just something you're gonna have to deal with when you decide you wanna have goats.
We got a phone call from our neighbor one evening. What did he say?
I had been using the chainsaw earlier that morning, and he was worried a tree fell on somebody.
Because one of our goats was screaming so loud that our neighbor, who's a half a mile up the road, heard this goat screaming and was concerned.
We've owned very quiet goats, we've owned very loud goats. So that's not always going to be an issue for you, but it may be. And the best way to know is go and see the goat that you're thinking of buying, see if it's a noisy goat. So who do you think, if someone watching wants to do the dairy thing and the soap and all that other stuff, but they're not sure, should they go goats? Who are goats right for?
Somebody with a smaller homestead who isn't sure they want to do dairy. It's a good way to get your feet wet in the world of dairying.
Yeah, if you're the pets with benefits route, I think goats are a good match. You kind of want something bigger than a chicken, and maybe you want to make some soap, and maybe you want to try the milking thing out. Goats are a great pet with benefits. If you know you like to do the dairy thing, if you want to every morning be out there with your metal pail and get all that milk and that cream and have the butter and just enjoy that homestead dairy lifestyle, then maybe I would say start doing your research into whether or not a cow is right for you, like we're doing.
Some people are cow people and some people are goat people. And I think we're a little of both.
If I haven't convinced you to not buy a goat, if you're dead set on getting one, before you do, we have a good blog post at the site, How Not to Buy a Goat, and we'll be making a video later this week which will tell you over the 14 goats that we owned, we learned some real big lessons in how to purchase a goat the right way. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video, how to buy a dairy goat for your homestead. I liked our goats.
I know. I was the one putting them on Craigslist, and you were the one who didn't want to sell them.
Because they were nice pets.
You come across as so like tough, but
I don't like goats.
Don't believe it. He loves them. Who was crying? Who was crying when they drove away?
Here you go, goats. Bye, girls. That is a huge chapter of our life, driving away down the road.
Once we start off with 800, know how much do we have, Daddy?
Shh, quiet. Miss our girls. I'm cool. I don't cry, I work out. You can't prove that.
Yes, I can. We have it on video.
Crap. Thanks for watching. There's 2 goat videos that you have to see. If you click on this one right here, we take my very pregnant wife and compare her to what we thought was a very pregnant goat, and there's a twist at the end that you won't want to miss. And if you want to follow the story of trying to get our goats to breed, that was hilarious too. You can watch that video here. And there's a playlist all about goats, so subscribe to that playlist and you'll get all our future goat videos, which we're going to do a couple more this week. Don't miss them.